Happy holidays, everyone. It's December 24th, 2024. And while we're all probably getting ready for some festive cheer, there's this other feeling lurking in the background, isn't there? That pressure to think about the year gone by and make those big resolutions for the new one.
The classic New Year, New You narrative.
Exactly. But what if this whole idea is setting us up to fail? What if it's just a societal thing that traps us in guilt and false starts? Today, we're going to challenge that. We're doing a deep dive into the idea that true new beginnings might not be tied to January 1st at all.
That's right. We're going to explore aligning ourselves with natural cycles, like the astrological new year, for a more authentic and sustainable approach to personal growth.
I love that.
Yeah.
So let's start by unpacking this Gregorian calendar thing. I mean, it's just a calendar, right? But it dictates so much of how we live.
Absolutely. And it's relatively new, In the grand scheme of things, Pope Gregory XIII implemented it in 1582. And they even skipped 10 days to sync it with the solar year.
Wait, they just skipped 10 days. Imagine waking up and it's suddenly more than a week later. Why go through all that trouble?
Well, before the Gregorian calendar, most of the world used the Julian calendar, which Julius Caesar established. But the Julian calendar had a slight miscalculation. It drifted out of sync with the solar year by about 1 day every 128 years.
So birthdays would slowly drift across the seasons.
Yeah.
That's wild. But I'm guessing there were bigger problems than just birthday confusion.
You got it. This drift caused major issues, especially for the Catholic Church. It messed with the timing of holidays, like Easter.
So the Gregorian calendar wasn't just about accuracy then.
Not entirely. It was also a power move by the Church. They wanted to solidify their authority over timekeeping and religious practices.
So they imposed their own system of time on the world, and we've been following it ever since.
Pretty much. And that system, with its linear progression of time, might be part of the reason our New Year's resolutions often fail.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Well, think about it. Nature doesn't work in a straight line. It works in cycles. The moon waxes and wanes. Seasons change. Tides ebb and flow. But we've become disconnected from these natural rhythms, imposing this artificial beginning and end on ourselves every January 1st.
That's a really interesting point. It's like we're trying to force change when nature is telling us to rest and reflect.
Exactly. And maybe that's why it feels so forced and unsustainable. It's not aligned with the natural energy of that time of year.
So what's the alternative? If we want to break free from resolutions and disappointments, where do we look for guidance?
Many ancient cultures were deeply attuned to these natural cycles. They understood that time wasn't linear, but cyclical. Their lives were intertwined with the rhythms of the cosmos.
Give us some examples. How did these ancient cultures mark new beginnings?
The Egyptians, for instance, based their calendar on the rising of the star Sirius, which coincided with the flooding of the Nile, their lifeblood.
Wow, so their whole calendar was tied to this incredible natural event. It makes our January 1st feel pretty arbitrary in comparison.
Right. And even today, we see remnants of these ancient cycles in some of our modern celebrations.
You mean like Easter and Christmas?
Exactly. While they're Christian holidays now, their roots lie in pagan festivals that were deeply connected to natural events like the spring equinox and the winter solstice.
So even though we might not realize it, we're still celebrating these ancient cycles in some form.
Absolutely. And perhaps if we want to find a more authentic and fulfilling way to mark new beginnings, we should look beyond the Gregorian calendar and tap back into those ancient rhythms.
So are you saying we should ditch January 1st as a starting point?
Not necessarily. It's more about expanding our understanding of time and recognizing that there are other ways to mark new beginnings that might resonate more deeply with our natural rhythms.
Okay, so where do we begin?
Have you ever heard of the astrological new year?
Astrological New Year. Tell me more. That sounds way more intriguing than just flipping a page on a calendar.
The astrological new year starts at the spring equinox around March 21st, when the sun enters Aries.
Hold on, back up a sec. For those of us who aren't fluent in astrology, what does that even mean?
Of course. The zodiac is a system that divides the year into 12 astrological signs. Each is associated with specific energies and themes. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, representing new beginnings, fresh starts, and a burst of energy.
So the astrological new year aligns with the actual time of renewal in nature, spring. It's when everything starts to wake up again after winter.
Precisely. Instead of forcing change onto ourselves in the depth of winter, we can align our intentions with the natural energy of spring, a time of growth and expansion.
That makes so much more sense. So instead of making resolutions on January 1st, we can set intentions aligned with the astrological new year.
Exactly. And intentions are different from resolutions. Resolutions are often rigid goals, focused on external achievements. Intentions are more about aligning with our core values and making gradual shifts throughout the year.
So it's about working with the energy of the cosmos rather than fighting against it.
Exactly. And just like nature constantly renews itself, we can revisit and refine our intentions throughout the year, allowing them to evolve with us.
This is already making me rethink my whole approach to new beginnings. Instead of that January 1st pressure cooker, it's about finding a rhythm that works for you. Something that feels authentic and aligned with your own values.
Exactly. And speaking of rhythms, there's another ancient festival that might offer some valuable insights. Have you ever heard of Saturnalia?
Saturnalia rings a bell, but I can't quite place it. Refresh my memory.
Saturnalia was an ancient Roman festival celebrated in December, around the time of the winter solstice.
So right around now, actually,
Interesting.
it's a time for feasting role reversals, gift giving, basically turning social norms upside down.
Sounds a bit like our modern-day holiday season with a touch of Mardi Gras thrown in.
You could say that. It was a time for letting go of constraints, for generosity,
Yeah.
and for celebrating the abundance of the harvest.
And get this, a lot of our Christmas traditions, like gift giving and decorations, actually stem from Saturnalia. It's fascinating how these ancient traditions have woven their way into our modern lives.
Okay, so what can we learn from Saturnalia in terms of new beginnings?
Well, it reminds us that even in the midst of winter, when nature seems dormant, there's a spirit of joy, generosity, and release. It's a time for letting go of what no longer serves us and embracing the potential for renewal.
So instead of forcing ourselves to change on January 1st, maybe we can tap into that Saturnalia energy, that spirit of letting go and embracing new possibilities throughout the year.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance between structure and freedom, between effort and surrender.
And recognizing that growth isn't a linear climb, but a cyclical journey.
Just like nature itself.
This is all really resonating with me. We've covered so much ground already, from challenging the Gregorian calendar's hold on our perception of time, to exploring alternative ways of marking new beginnings with the astrological new year, and even tapping into the spirit of Saturnalia. But I feel like we've only just scratched the surface.
We have. And in the next part of our deep dive, we'll delve deeper into the practical aspects of aligning with natural cycles. We'll explore how to identify your own personal rhythms, set intentions that resonate with those rhythms, and work with the specific energies of each astrological sign to support your growth throughout the year. So far, we've been talking about big picture concepts, but let's bring this down to earth and talk about how you can practically apply these ideas to your own life.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's all very intriguing, but how do I actually start aligning with these natural cycles and setting intentions that work for me?
Well, the first step is to become more aware of your own internal rhythms. Notice your energy levels throughout the day, the week, and the month. Do you find yourself more productive in the mornings or evenings? Do you experience a natural dip in energy during certain phases of the moon cycle?
That's interesting. I never really thought about my energy levels in relation to the moon cycle before.
You're listening to Echoes of Insight, where we dive deep into the topics shaping our world, from the planet and politics to health, consciousness, economy, and alternative lifestyles. If you're enjoying the journey, make sure to subscribe and share this podcast with others who love exploring new perspectives.
It's a subtle but powerful connection. For example, many people find themselves naturally drawn inward during the new moon, a time for reflection and introspection. Then as the moon waxes, energy builds, making it an ideal time for initiating new projects or taking action on your goals.
So instead of fighting against these natural ebbs and flows, we can actually use them to our advantage.
Precisely. Once you start paying attention to your own rhythms, you can begin to schedule your activities and set intentions in a way that supports your natural energy flow.
So for instance, if I know I'm more introspective during the new moon, maybe that's a good time to journal meditate or do some soul searching about what intentions I want to set for the coming cycle.
Exactly. And then as the moon waxes, you can start taking concrete steps toward those intentions. Remember, intentions aren't about forcing change. They're about aligning with your core values and allowing your goals to unfold organically.
Okay, I'm starting to get the hang of this. So we've talked about tuning into our personal rhythms, but what about working with the astrological year? How can we align our intentions with the specific energies of each sign?
Each astrological sign carries a unique energy signature that can be harnessed for personal growth. For example, Aries season, starting around March 21st, is all about fresh starts, bold action, and taking initiative.
So if I wanted to start a new project, Aries season would be the perfect time to dive in head first.
It could be. Of course, you'll want to consider your own personal astrological chart for more tailored insights. But generally speaking, Aries season is a great time for anything that requires courage, leadership, and a pioneering spirit.
And what about the other signs? Give us a few more examples.
Well, Taurus season following Aries is a time for grounding, building stability, and focusing on sensual pleasures. So maybe that's a good time to work on your finances, create a cozy home environment, or indulge in activities that bring you joy.
Ah, so Taurus season is all about slowing down and savoring the simple things. That sounds lovely.
Then comes Gemini season, a time for communication, learning, and connecting with others. Maybe you sign up for a new course, launch a podcast, or make an effort to socialize more.
Oh, well played. See, I'm learning already. So each sign brings a different flavor to the year. It's like having a guidebook for how to best work with the cosmic energy.
That's a great way to put it. And as you start working with these energies intentionally, you might find that your intentions manifest more effortlessly. It's about aligning yourself with the natural flow of the universe.
This is all making so much more sense than those rigid New Year's resolutions that I'd usually make and then promptly forget about by February.
That's the beauty of working with natural cycles. It's a gentler, more sustainable approach. And even though we've been focusing on the astrological new year and the specific energies of the zodiac, remember that every single day is an opportunity for a fresh start.
Yeah, that's a really important point. We don't have to wait for a specific date on the calendar to make a change or set a new intention.
Exactly. Every sunrise brings a chance to realign with our core values and take steps towards the life we want to create. It's about finding that delicate balance between honoring natural cycles and embracing the spontaneity of life.
I love that. It's not about being rigid or dogmatic. It's about being flexible and responsive to our own internal compass and the rhythms of the universe.
And remember, this isn't just about personal growth. It's about shifting our collective consciousness. If we can individually break free from these artificial constraints of linear time, imagine the impact that could have on society as a whole.
Now you're getting me really excited.
Yeah.
A world that's more in tune with natural cycles. A world that values sustainability, balance, and harmony. That's a future I can get behind.
Absolutely. And it all starts with awareness. Recognizing that the way we perceive time is a construct, not an absolute truth. Once we realize that we can start to explore alternative ways of aligning with time, ways that feel more authentic and empowering.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about tuning into our personal rhythms, working with the energies of the astrological year, and even envisioning a world that's more in sync with natural cycles. But I'm curious, what are some common pitfalls people encounter when trying to shift away from this linear resolution-based mindset?
That's a great question. I can imagine it's easy to fall back into old habits, especially when we're so conditioned to think in terms of resolutions and deadlines.
Yeah, it's important to remember this is a journey, not a destination. It's about making gradual shifts and trusting the process.
Exactly. Just like nature, personal growth takes time. We need to be patient with ourselves and allow our intentions to unfold organically.
Another pitfall I can see is getting too caught up in the details of astrology.
Oh, that's a good one. Astrology can be a powerful tool for self-awareness and guidance, but it's easy to get lost in the complexities. Remember, it's just a framework. The real magic happens when we connect with our own intuition and inner wisdom.
So it's not about following astrological rules blindly. It's about using astrology as a way to understand ourselves better and align with the energies that support our growth.
Precisely. And that brings us to another crucial point: flexibility. Working with natural cycles doesn't mean we're locked into a rigid schedule. Life is unpredictable, and sometimes we need to adjust our course.
Right. It's about finding that sweet spot between aligning with the natural flow of the universe, honoring our own individual needs and circumstances.
Absolutely. And remember, it's okay to experiment and see what works best for you. There's no one-size-fits-all approach to aligning with natural cycles.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
what key takeaways do you want to leave our listeners with? What's the most important thing for them to remember as we approach this new year?
First and foremost, remember that the Gregorian calendar's concept of January 1st as the ultimate fresh start is just that, a concept. It's a construct, not a cosmic law. You have the power to define your own new beginnings whenever they feel right for you.
So ditch that guilt trip if you're not feeling the resolution frenzy right now.
Exactly. Second, tune into your natural rhythms. Notice how your energy levels fluctuate throughout the day, the week, and the month. Work with those natural ebbs and flows instead of fighting against them.
It's like we've been handed a personalized instruction manual but haven't been reading it.
That's a great way to put it. And third, consider exploring the wisdom of the astrological year. Each zodiac sign offers unique energy that we can tap into for personal growth.
But remember, astrology is a tool, not a rule book.
Right. Use it to deepen your self-awareness, not to limit your possibilities.
This has been an incredible deep dive. I feel like my whole perspective on new beginnings has shifted. I'm excited to start experimenting with these ideas and finding a rhythm that works for me.
I'm so glad to hear that. And remember, this is an ongoing journey of discovery. Be patient with yourself, trust the process, and allow your intentions to unfold in their own perfect timing.
Beautiful. And as we gather with loved ones this holiday season, perhaps we can all reflect on these ideas and start a conversation about creating a world that's more in tune with the natural rhythms of the universe.
That's a wonderful thought. Wishing you all a happy holiday season and a new year filled with intention, purpose, and alignment with the magic of the cosmos.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into rethinking new beginnings. We'll see you next time for another exploration into echoes of insight. Happy holidays, everyone.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Echoes of Insight. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and share it with someone who loves exploring big ideas. Together, let's keep the conversation going. See you next time.